Hey all, new day, new verses. We continue on into chapter 16, finishing it off today with verses 21 through 28. And then Jesus predicting his own death. Here we go. From then on, Jesus, the Messiah, began to tell his disciples plainly that it was necessary for him to go to Jerusalem, that he would suffer many terrible things at the hands of the elders, the leading priests, and the teachers of religious law. He would be killed, but on the third day he would be raised from the dead. But Peter took him aside and began to reprimand him for saying such things. "Heaven forbid, Lord," he said. "This will never happen to you." And Jesus turned to Peter and said, "Get away from me, Satan. You are a dangerous trap for me. You are seeing things merely from a human point of view, not God's." Then Jesus said to his disciples, "If any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way. Take up your cross and follow me. If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it. And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your soul? Is anything worth more than your inner self? For the Son of Man will come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and will judge all people according to their deeds. And I tell you the truth, some standing here right now will not die before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." Now, I know there's a lot there about the "get thee behind me, Satan" when calling Peter out. I even pointed out yesterday the fact that there is that massive difference between Simon Peter and when he's even being called Satan. This massive gambit of that struggle and wrestling with God moment to try and understand. And one of those pinnacle issues of, well, Lord, no, it's got to be done this way. Because that's what Peter is essentially doing here. It's the same thing that we often do all too much in Christendom as far as the religion is concerned. Well, no, God, it's got to look this way. No, Lord, do the miracle this way. No, you got to do it this way. Heaven forbid that you should welcome somebody who disagrees with me. Oh, heaven forbid that you should welcome the sick into this church. No, Jesus. That's not the way you do it. And Jesus is going, wrong. In this situation, he's calling Peter out because he's seeing things from a human point of view, not from God's. And I think that is the same struggle here that all too often we end up dealing with, is that struggle moment of, do we want humans' point of view or God's point of view? Do we want our own? And then continuing right from there into telling his disciples, take up your cross and follow me. This is the second time he's reiterated it to his disciples in Matthew alone, by the way. If it's sounding familiar to you, it should. Because Jesus is pointing out that when we stay white-knuckle gripped onto our version of life, where we're the ones who determined who is worthy or who is good or who gets in, we're going to see nothing but that hate and angst and destruction personified. Because God's perspective and human's perspective are very, very different. His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. If we truly believe that, then we need to be willing to embrace when God does something that looks a little different. Well, God, we don't want you doing it because we're not okay with it. Then why are you acting like Satan telling God what to do? Because that's essentially what it is. It's not having gratitude for the fact that he's doing something different. It's not being amazed by the fact that he can use all things for his glory. It's getting pissy that church doesn't look the way we want it to. That's not something that's okay. The idea here is to take up our cross and follow him. That means offering self-sacrificial agape love, even when it costs us everything. Because it cost him everything. He died in our place, rose again on the third day, that we are given new life in him. In belief in him, we are made a new creation. One that doesn't have to play by the same selfish, slanderous, I would dare say stupid rules of childish world behavior. And anyone who truly takes a moment to introspect about the fact that very little to nothing changes between elementary school and junior high and high school and college and the real world afterward, more accurately. It's the same childish, click, backstabby, BS behavior. that it has been for a very long time. And if you're sick of that repetition, there's a different way. And Jesus says it right here, take up your cross and follow me. If you try to hang on to your own life, you'll lose it. Because what are we defining as our own life? Our scars? What? Because the muchness of us, the core bit of us, that otherness in us that makes us wonder if we're like anybody else, that unique beauty, we're actually called to worship God with that. That's the Shema. You will worship the Lord with all of your intent, all of your purpose, and all of your muchness. Kind of a bit off from our mind, body, and soul that we use in English. But the only time that using soul there works is if you're keeping it in tandem with this section. Because it is the muchness. I mean, the word at the very end is ma'od. It literally means very. It's an adverb. So you're supposed to worship the Lord your God with all of your muchness. The very core of yourself. Because it's not about being a photocopy. It's about worshiping God with that which He gave us. The very breath is borrowed. So why not use it to praise? Be that singing hymn song or working and being the hands and feet that make this life a little easier. That share in love, in resource and giving. Not because it's about the fiscal amount, but because it's about the core. Oh, that person needs, or that village needs water. Well, I'm a hydroelectrical engineer. I'm going to go get that village water. I understand how to do it. That's far more interesting, far more useful than just opening your pocketbook and throwing money at it. God didn't give you fiat currency at birth. He gave you you. Your personalities, your quirks, your sense of humor. Those very things about us that we have the question of, does this make me who I am? We can release to God and let Him shift. Having the things like scars that we usually in this world think define us, and being defined instead by character, by integrity, by those very last things that when the world takes everything away, you stand resolute. I will die for you. I will not take a life. It's what we see. Jesus, Stephen, Paul, so many. It looks a little different. It looks to be a place of faith and love. A place where it is more important to have your soul and your inner self devoted to God than it is to be playing this human BS game. And all of that comes from having God's point of view. It's like, whoa, we can't. Did you ever ask Him? Ask Him a better question. Ask Him how to have His perspective on it. How to love like He does. How to move in the gifts that He's given. And in form, have intimate relationship with Him. The very nature of going to God invites relationship. That's the beauty of this. That God will meet us wherever we are and hold us near and dear. That's the God we serve. The God who knew, knowing the suffering that was to come, did it anyway. Because it was more important to do it God's way than it was His own. Just like for us, it's more important to do it God's way rather than our own. And if you're struggling with that question, give it to God. Ask Him how to live with that kind of merciful love and how to live with that kind of perspective shift. Because He'll come into your heart when you invite Him. His Holy Spirit will invade. You gotta want it. You gotta let Him. And in doing so, you gotta take the white knuckle grip of life off and hold on to Him. Because if you're to the point where you still need to white knuckle something, that's fine. Hold on to Him. Because anything else in this world that you hold on to like that is as good as smoke. I will see you guys more than likely tomorrow, but at very least Monday when we start into chapter 17 with the Transfiguration. I cannot wait. May His favor be upon you. Know that you are loved, and know that He will meet you no matter where you are, so you can take up your cross and follow Him, a new creation made in love, living in love, and knowing that no matter what comes our way, God is greater still. I'll see you then.